I'm Dr. Alan Blum reporting for Tobacco News, looking at what's going to happen tonight at the Journalism School at the University of Alabama. I'm Dr. Alan Blum. I teach at the medical school. I'm just curious to know what led you to come tonight.
Well, I'm actually a recruiter. Yes, I'm a recruiter.
Do you work out of New York? Or?
No, I have a territory in Dalton, Georgia, but our office, where we are, section office is out of Alpharetta, Georgia.
Right. So to get into the journalism school, did you have to write and say, hey, we really want to come here to the journalism school because the students are really top-notch and we'd like to have them working for Philip Morris?
Well, actually, Tiffany Elliott, who's the one that coordinated actually coming here to the
she's a student here?
No, she's actually a recruiter.
Right. Okay. But is this for Altria or for Philip Morris Tobacco Company?
This is actually for Philip Morris.
Tobacco Company.
Yeah, Philip Morris.
Right. So the people that you'd recruit would be doing what? What kind of activities?
We are recruiting for territory sales managers.
Selling cigarettes?
Yes.
Right. Retail. Are all the folks here of age to do that?
Yes, they are of age.
Really? You checked ahead of time? I mean, all of the students that showed up tonight?
They should be if they're here at the...
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 23.
23. Oh, look like younger than that.
Yeah.
Do you work at... All right. Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Blum.
Hi, I'm Tiffany.
How you doing? I know Steve Parrish up in New York, and I've been following Philip Morris for years.
Really?
And like to say I know it better than my own kids, but I was a little interested in the fact that tonight you're here at a university recruiting from the College of Communications for Philip Morris in the tobacco area.
Right.
Doing advertising or selling cigarettes or what?
Let me ask you again, who are you with?
Dr. Alan Blum. I'm a family physician. I teach at the university.
Okay, are you a professor here at
Yes,
the College
I
of
am.
Communication? Okay.
I am a professor at the University of Alabama.
Okay, great.
Right.
In what school?
College of Community Health Sciences. I'm a family physician.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
So,
And what is this for?
Oh, this is for a report that I'm going to do for my center. I have the Center for the Study of Tobacco and Society. It probably won't go anywhere. It's just that I archive everything. I go to the annual meetings of Philip Morris. I've gone for 17 years.
Okay.
I go to a lot of the events. I just archive things as they come about.
Okay,
So
okay.
I presume that this will get buried away with the rest of my tapes, but we're not going to go blasting it to the Tuscaloosa News saying tobacco company here. But I am interested in the sociology of the tobacco industry, and whether now with the heat on tobacco, whether coming to the college campuses, I know you haven't been interrupted in that, but I'm wondering whether that might be a little bit touchy these days, given all of the heat that the industry has taken in the mass media.
Actually, not at all. We're very honest about what we do, and we know the product we have causes harm.
Right.
So that's no surprise to anybody. To
You're
you
going to
or
say
to
that
me.
tonight?
Yes. I mean, well, I won't. I will say it at the information session tomorrow night.
Right.
Tonight's more of like a more casual. Let's get to meet you. But at our information session, like we did classroom presentations on campus at the business school, and that's one of the things we talk about. We know we have a product that causes harm, and you know. We are honest about that. Now, we haven't always been honest about that.
I know, and I think Steve and I have talked about that over the years. I think he's done a great job in changing the image.
Our culture has definitely changed.
But I guess in a way, in fact, I'd actually say that you've almost taken over the smoking cessation area by virtue of the television. But really, it's a little disingenuous when we don't say what smoking really does to you. That's the problem. It says it causes harm, but you know, I take care of patients with lung cancer and heart disease,
right.
And it's not a pleasant task.
Right, it causes a lot more than just that. It causes harm in a lot of areas. You know, it causes, high blood pressure, it can cause stroke. I mean,
it can cause.
Right, it
not
can
everyone
cause.
who smokes gets disease.
Exactly, that's why, if, for example, if we said cigarette smoke causes just lung cancer, then we would leave out all these other things. So we say it causes harm because that includes a lot of different things. And every person who smokes, it doesn't always cause cancer. So we have to be broad about, hey, it causes harm. Everybody knows that you can potentially get lung cancer from smoking.
Are you looking for the best and the brightest in the retail area now, in the territories? I mean, is that really, obviously, you're not looking for dole.
What do you mean, for our consumers, or you mean for recruiting purposes?
Are you looking to recruit folks that are going to out there and really be in love with a product and sell it and say, people have a free choice, and yet I'm...
No. We are looking for kids. Part of our mission is being responsible, effective, and respected. Okay? And what we are doing is we're looking for people that can handle the responsibility of marketing a product that causes harm. And in that means being responsible. It means making sure your accounts know to card everybody that comes through the store. It means making sure that you don't put tobacco products on your counters so that children, it's at eye level for children. Those are the things that we try to do to be responsible.
It's legal, it's there. You want to get respectable looking people to go sell your product, and people who believe in it, who aren't going to deceive, as they once did.
Right,
but
exactly.
I guess my feeling is, you've got a bunch of bright kids here. Wouldn't you want to also think that they might rather work in the craft division?
Oh, definitely. But Kraft is a separate company. Right. We're owned by Altria. Both of us are, but if they want to work for Kraft, they have to interview with Kraft. Interviewing with Philip Morris means interviewing for the tobacco industry.
Okay. But do you get questions from people like me that say,
definitely.
Yeah, and you handle it very well, but ultimately you're saying the bottom line, legal product, we're going to be on campuses wherever we can be. Have you had any tough times on campuses where people have said, we don't want you?
No, in my experience, no. But I've only been at the University of Alabama, and we don't go to every college campus.
Right.
We have 30 colleges that we focus on, that we recruit from, that we have partnerships with.
Right. Syracuse, I know my boy went to Syracuse, and they were up there, and he tried to take a couple of photographs, and they escorted him out the student union. Because this is about 10 years ago.
Right.
And I think
different world.
Yeah, the company is much more open. I guess really, and retail sales are also doing pretty well, but the visibility is not there. In other words, your point of purchase displays aren't really as vivid as they once were.
Right.
Is that going to come back when all the lawsuits are over with?
No.
Yeah, the lawsuits
because it's not
like,
responsible.
Right. Well, do you think the other companies are following your lead? Like
we hope.
RJR is going to be here tomorrow.
We hope.
Is there still a vigorous competition within the industry?
Of course. It's like Coke and Pepsi.
Yeah. What percentage of, you might not know this, but Marlboro sales are still more than anything.
40%.
Right. Of the whole market.
Exactly.
And what's next with Philip Morris? Is it Benson Hedges or Virginia Slims? Or
it depends on the market.
It's just way, way down though compared to Marlboro.
Oh, but everything's down compared. I mean, no other tobacco company has a cigarette that sells like Marlboro does.
How many Marlboros are there? 15?
How many?
I tried counting. I can't even count.
Yeah, there's I think there's like 20 something.
I joked that I said there's Marlboro Lights, there's Ultra Lights, there's Marlboro Leaded, there's Marlboro Unleaded.
Right.
You know, but I was just speaking to a class of undergraduates who are pre-med, and I just presented all the issues. And I think, you make some very, very strong points, and I'm really glad you took the opportunity to talk with me. I just like to document the different ways in which Philip Morris has worked in society. I'm interested in the sponsorship of the arts, for instance. Very well received. People don't believe me when I tell them that people line up to go to Philip Morris to get the funding.
Right.
As opposed to Philip Morris going and dropping money in their hands. So it's a conscious decision. I just felt, though, in this instance, college students might not be as sophisticated about just what they're getting into.
Right, and that's why our interviewing process is very long and very rigorous, because we want to make sure that they understand what they're doing. Yeah. Tonight we'll meet them. Tomorrow night we'll have another information session where we go into detail. We'll have a pre-screen, a panel dinner, a panel interview, a day in the field, and then an offer. So there's several opportunities for them to meet us, to learn about the industry from different angles, to make sure they're smart about
what's the ultimate paradox here? You got people like me, who's a physician who fights smoking. Well, in a way, if you'd believe the Philip Morris ads, they're fighting smoking too.
Exactly.
Well, but you're not saying what the things are about smoking that are really bad. You're saying it causes harm. But if logically we're all fighting smoking and smoking's going to decline, what's in it for the recruit?
What's in it? The future. I mean, we aren't just, I mean, we just spent $300 million on a research and development center that we're creating right now.
Right.
I mean, our goal...
Safer cigarettes.
Well, no. Our goal is to not just be in the tobacco industry 20 years from now, but to come out with other products in the future.
Like the medication inhalers or things like that?
No, to be more like a P&G. You know, P&G started with soap, and now they're selling potato chips. I mean, to eventually come off of tobacco products, because we know that eventually there will be no future in tobacco products.
Well, that's good to hear.
Products. Yeah.
And I think that, Philip Morris has always been diversified. If you really want to go way back, they had razor blades. You ought to look at some of the
I didn't even know that.
I've got some of the annual reports. I'll give you my card. You're welcome at any time to, write. And Steve is the same thing. He's always sent me stuff. Right
Who
now,
is Steve?
Steve Parrish.
Okay.
He's your vice president for public relations in New York.
Isn't that terrible?
You ought to meet
I'm
him.
in sales.
No. Well, that's good, though. He's the guy you always see on Nightline or whatever.
Okay.
But he really, is the guy that shows up at all the anti-smoking conferences and tries to say something. I'm actually giving a presentation this summer at the World Conference on Philip Morris, And I'm literally just trying to grasp at straws as to what is it that we want the company to do that they're not already doing.
Right.
One of those things is really not saying in those talk to your kids about smoking what smoking really does. I'm not saying necessarily got to put the lungs and the hearts up there, but it's got to be more than just
severe.
Yeah.
More real.
Yeah, and I've talked to the psychologist up at, well, he uses the term Harvard, but he's sort of affiliated, who created the booklets that go along with that.
Okay.
And his parents died of lung cancer.
Wow.
And I asked him, do you think your parents would approve of what you're doing? He says, yeah. He says, I really think I'm doing good work. The company has not told me what to say or do. Mm-hmm. But, you know, all in all, I'm impressed with what you're saying. I just feel that having looked at this issue over so many years, without denying that there's been an evolution, I don't see the college-age group of smokers declining.
Really?
Do you? Is it declining?
I don't know. I don't know what.
Well, I'm talking 21 and over. I'm not going to get you into saying that 18 or. But I think when I go to my BP station or wherever else, I stand in line while they're buying Marlboro.
Really?
And nothing else. I guess you get some Camel Cash, but. And I've met the RJR rep here, nice fella. He went to the university. Where'd you attend?
University.
Oh, you did go here. You just graduated.
No.
What, were you a business major?
No, I was a college communication major.
No kidding. Wow. Well, maybe sometime we could have a little symposium and talk about these issues openly, so it doesn't look like I'm ambushing anybody.
Right.
But I did want to come and at least record this sociologic phenomenon. And I appreciate you taking time to
No
talk
problem.
with me.
Very nice
Great.
meeting you.
Same here. Do you have a card too?
Actually, I didn't bring any with me.
Okay. Well, if you have an email or something, I could.
Yeah.
We're not going to transcribe it or anything like that. Did you have any other questions that you wanted me to ask? I think she's okay, good. Could I get that
Tiffany,
email?
Tiffany, dot M, dot Elliott, ELLIOTT, at PMUSA.com.
PMUSA.com. Thanks. My colleague, in fact, he called me today and he noticed the posters, and he said that's interesting how a product that's responsible for upwards of 400,000 deaths a year could be promoted at the school and recruiting new people. So we're trying to find out how that's justified. I think you've addressed it for the most part, but would you want to add any comments to that?
One of the questions I was asked is how do I feel about selling a product that harms people.
And you could be a track star saying this, and they used to have track stars promoting cigarettes,
I know.
and you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So now, though, you're the same thing. How does it, what is it in your mind that says, no, this is all right?
This was the biggest thing I debated coming into the company. Was my sisters worked for the company for 18 years now, and recruited me right out of college, and I was like, I don't want to work for a tobacco company. There's absolutely no way I'm working for a tobacco company. But I did know a lot about the organization as a whole, and once I started to learn, I worked a couple other jobs, and she really worked on me, and she started showing me a lot of really their focus, their mission, their values, the things they focus on. And what shocked me was that those values lined up with what my values were. And I feel like if I'm going to be a part of an organization that sells a product that harms people, causes all kinds of diseases and issues with people's health, that I want to make sure that company is very responsible about how they do that.
But can't any company produce a mission statement that, I'm
yeah,
sure...
but not every company lives by it. And I assure you, I work for this company. Everything I do is based off of those things. Every performance appraisal I write for my people, every time I walk in a store and evaluate how my people are handling their accounts and where our product is, every time we do something, it is so ingrained in us. I mean, integrity, trust, respect, passion to succeed, creating long-term value, all those things are part of what we do.
But if Marlboro sales go down, you're out of a job.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, that will take some time.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah, I mean, and we live in a realistic world. It's no different than alcohol. Adults are allowed to make a choice. And if they're allowed to make a choice, I want to make sure that I am helping them make a responsible choice, that they know what they're choosing.
Does the company recruit on campus anymore for sales? I mean, in other words, do they do any free distribution or sampling on campus?
Absolutely not.
Right.
No. We don't. Even in our catalog, our Marlboro catalog, you get the miles. There's Marlboro's not on anything anymore.
That's amazing. Just the logo.
That's not on anything.
Right. Is there, I know Marlboro, the magazine stopped, but is there the internet magazine now, or is it?
You know what, to be honest, I don't know.
Right.
You know, they ask us about Marlboro Miles and catalogs, and I know you can call the 1-800-Marlboro number and get a catalog, but that's just not one of my focuses. So
Right. No, they had the outdoor magazine for a couple of years. It's gone now.
Oh yeah, the big magazine.
Yeah.
You know what? I haven't gotten one of those. They send us stuff every now and then, but I haven't gotten one of those.
Well, if you ever want to know about the history, and I'm not saying this propagandistically, I'm just saying, you know, I think I've got a better history of the company than Philip Morris does.
Probably.
And you know, we're trying to open a museum about this subject just to get people to talk about it. And you know, I appreciate your openness. You're a natural. Have you done much television work for the company?
No.
No? You're a secret weapon. Yeah. I'm going to ask a couple of students what drew them here and see what they think. Well, they only go to 30. They go to a core group of about 30.
Right. You know what? I don't make all the decisions on why we choose one college or another. I know it has some things to do with within our section and how our sales force is set up. My section is all of Alabama, most of Georgia, half of Tennessee, the panhandle of Florida. So when we go to hire, we're looking for students that can possibly move in that area. So we recruit from 2 colleges in that section, UGA, University of Georgia, and University of Alabama. Our experience with UGA students is they want to stay in Georgia. They want to stay in the Atlanta area. Our experience with Alabama students is they're like, hey, send me anywhere in the Southeast. So that's kind of how we recruit. So it's based on that section and which colleges bring students that actually align with what we are trying to do, our values, our things we're trying to do as a mission, and that can actually do the job, because the job is a tough one.
In a way, I guess you should be feeling even better about the company than when you joined. You probably had your doubts.
Oh, definitely.
And now you're...
And that, you know what, if I worked for a company that hid behind, the truth, and
Don't get me started.
right, and they weren't honest, there's absolutely no way I could work for them. But the integrity that I've seen with the people that I work with, and I don't mean that just, we just say these things, but I've seen it with my own eyes. I couldn't work for a company that didn't do those things.
Part of one of the reasons that is because, if you didn't have people like me on the case of Philip Morris all these years, I don't think the company would have reformed as well as it's done.
You know what? Maybe not. I don't know that.
What about your sister, though? Without speaking for her, did you ever go back in time and say, man, you must have been working in a totally different environment?
You know what? Actually, I absolutely did. I went to when you become a manager, you go to a leadership journey where they send you off for a week and they try to develop you more as a leader.
Right.
And we were talking about kind of the culture of Philip Morris, and I asked that question. There was a guy that had been with the company for 20 or so years, and I said, how in '95, when you watched on television, CEO put his hand up, how did you work for an organization that lied like that? And he said, you know what, I was on the verge of quitting. He was like, I was contemplating all of those things. But he said, we begin to make progress and change, and that's what kept me around. He goes, but it was a tough time, I think, for everybody, because our stance on things was, not to come right out. I watched our president or vice president of sales and marketing come on campus just 2 weeks ago, and when he got up in front of students, the first thing he says is, what do you think's tough about working for a tobacco company? And kids were like, I don't, who knows? It's like, we sell a product that harms people. Yeah. Came right out with it. No, and so when I see that as an example, it's like, then I know it's okay for me to talk to you about these things.
Will the Marlboro Man be back, you think?
Absolutely not.
Really? So it's gone?
Yeah.
Do you have a pencil?
No, he died of cancer. I don't know that for sure. I think that's the rumor, but I don't know that for sure. Yeah. But yeah, the cowboy man it's not responsible.
One theory
we don't want to pull children at all.
One theory is that as the lawsuits fade away, and the Oregon case last week was a bit of an aberration, that the company will look around and say, we won. And I was about to write Steve and say, fair and square, you did it. I'm not a big fan of the government's lawsuits anyway, because the government was deriving an enormous amount from taxes.
Exactly.
I told the former president at one of the meetings, the guy from Australia, I said, if they ever sue you, this is back around '98, I said, if the Justice Department goes through with this thing, I'll testify for you, because they're the ones that profited just as well.
Right.
So I think that was a very justified verdict.
Yeah. I think it's to the point now, where to lose tobacco as a
Jeffrey
whole.
Bible, by the way.
What's that?
That was Jeffrey Bible. I forgot.
Okay. If you lose tobacco as a whole in this country, it will devastate economically the country. I mean, tobacco farmers, guys that are working in operations, taxes from cigarettes. And so I think it's going to have to be something that we slowly get out of. and that's just, that's just me talking off the top of my head,
Right.
because it's, I mean, you think about excise taxes. You know how much money Philip Morris alone pays in taxes? I mean, that's a lot of money.
Wasn't the master settlement, though, pretty much a back tax? I mean, that's
we pay
basically
that
it.
on the back.
Right.
That
And now
doesn't
you got the
include
states.
city, county, state taxes.
Yeah, right.
Like New York, $7.
Yeah. And it's going up. They want another $1.50.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's just come out in the
And
last
you know
couple.
how much money?
California wants another $1.50.
Well,
So, no, I know I'm not for taxes. I never have been. It's punishing people. For,
you know what? It sets us up. It sets us up to fail, because what happens when it really does decline? Tobacco sales really does. I mean, and that money that they are looking for running the city is not there.
Right. Well, but that's the one man's death is another man's living. That's a crude way to put it. But
They'll tax caffeine after that.
yeah, no, you're right. You'll betcha. Nice to see you.
Nice
Thanks
seeing you.
again.
Take care.
Physician at the College of Community Health Sciences. What drew you tonight?
The name Philip Morris.
Yeah, it has that magic touch to it.
It's got that well-known name to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in working for them?
Possibly.
What do they say? We want you to sell Marlboros and not craft cheese.
I don't know.
'Cause that's what this is. It's
as
really
a
the malt.
non-smoker, it's actually a question of am I acceptance of people's choices, and do I accept people's choices? And you have, as an adult, you have a choice to do what it is that you want to do. And if you choose to smoke a cigarette, then I can't
Fair
stop
enough.
you.
But let's say you saw somebody jumping from a bridge, ready to jump, and you said, "Don't do it." You whispered, "Don't do it, don't do it." And then you went down to the floor, the water, and held up a sign saying, "Come on down, the water's fine." Because a lot of the advertising, although it's less than it used to be, it's very alluring, the cowboy image and things. I learned here tonight from Tiffany that they're not going to use the cowboy anymore. But still, that pretty red and white box, I'm just wondering whether you think that might be a little alluring when we talk about freedom of choice, but go ahead and try it anyway.
If it's alluring the box, it's not alluring to me.
No, I guess not. But they're going to be getting into other things. They can't advertise on billboards. They're going to advertise in other ways, nightclubs and things. But does that then just make it a freedom of choice issue for the adults?
I think it does. I mean, it's still a freedom of choice. Not Constitution, but the government gives them the right to sell these products, and they're not breaking any laws by doing this. I wouldn't be breaking any laws by being a salesperson for them.
Are you majoring in journalism?
No.
What are you majoring in?
I actually graduated in public relations.
Oh, well, you're terrific. You're outstanding. Here, this is my card, so you know who I am. Feel
Okay.
free to contact me at any time.
Okay.
So you'll know that this is. We're just going to. Sure.
Pointing toward me. You asked, you said people have a choice, but what about after they're addicted and they don't have a choice anymore, or at least it's a very difficult choice?
What about after people, the initial freedom of choice may be there, but what about after people have started smoking, the addiction?
Addiction is such a word. You can become addicted to anything. You can become addicted to television, radio, anything. So the addiction is just an excuse
They rehearsed
to
you
pick
on
up
that. But you know that smoking is a worse addiction than television. I
I
mean,
wouldn't say it's the worst addiction. I'd say it's a very strong addiction.
yeah.
It's-
Oh, I said it's worse than TV, for instance. I don't think TV is going to,
I guess it would
unless
be,
the
but
TV falls on you.
that would be bad, especially during the Super Bowl. No, addiction, I mean, it can be broken. That's why it's called addiction, because it can be broken. It's
Yeah.
not and I know people who were addicted to smoking and then stopped.
Should people have the right to sue the companies if they have lung
No.
cancer?
No. No, because it tells you on the package, the surgeon warning tells you, Surgeon General's warning says, this is addicting, this could cause
But what
cause
about
cancer.
the few remaining cases of people who started before the warning? They started way back when, and now they've got the diseases. Don't they have the right to sue?
That would be a legal question that I couldn't answer because I didn't go to law school.
I think you're going to be hired tonight. So, yeah. What are you doing
We'll show
these
them
days?
that tape.
No, it's going to be at Knott Hall. That's where I'm going to keep this. Or what have you been doing since you graduated?
Looking for a job.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, come over sometime. Maybe we could work from the other side. I head up the Center for the Study of Tobacco and Society. I'm a family physician.
Okay. And I respect your opinion.
Thanks a million. Great. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you,
Terrific.
too.
Okay. Do you have an email or something? Or
Hi,
Hi.
Alan.
Are you Dr. Cooper?
Yes, I am.
Hi. I owe an apology for what you may have felt as a tone, but I was a little distraught to hear but I had a very nice conversation with Tiffany just now, and I'm very impressed. I think she's answered most of the questions that I had in regard to the conscience of the community in dealing with a cigarette company. But it's a difficult issue. And what I was trying to wonder whether anyone had raised this as a kind of an ethical issue.
Well, you know, Alan, I'd rather.
By the way,
talk to
this is not going to be. This is. I head the Center for the Study of Tobacco and Society. We don't have to be on camera or anything like
you. I
that.
appreciate it.
That was the only thing.
Okay.
I'm Alan Blum. I'm a family physician at the University of Alabama.
Okay.
I teach family medicine. I've worked a long time, about 30 years, on the smoking issue. So I was curious to know when they were here on campus, what attracted you to come to talk to a cigarette company?
Well, I'm an undergrad. I'm Juan Perlaza. I'm an undergrad in marketing in the business school. What I really like about the company is just the program. I'm about to graduate. I graduate in May, and I'm looking for a good company to work with. Right now, I would like to be with a company that's worldwide. It's recognized worldwide. This is one. Yeah, they sell cigarettes, but they also help prevent people from smoking. Smoking is an auto decision. If you're 18 and you can go to the military, and you're 18 and you can decide whether to smoke or not, I mean, that's a personal decision. I'm here to find a job, not really to question why they sell or not
Good
sell.
answer. Where did you hear that they were preventing smoking? That was different. I know what they say they're doing, but why do you think that they are preventing?
I've searched their website. I've seen their programs around the United States. I travel a lot, so I do.
How many languages do you speak?
3.
Wow. Spanish?
Spanish is my first language, English will be my second, and Portuguese will be my
Wow.
third. Yes, sir.
It's going to come in handy no matter what you do.
And that's-
Wouldn't, though, if the company made cheese, and they used to, because Philip Morris is separating from Kraft.
Right.
But if they gave you a choice, okay, you can work on the cheese division or the cigarette division, which would you choose?
I would say the benefits first. I'm not a smoker, never smoked before, and don't think I will smoke with Philip Morris.
But wouldn't the company's product be good enough to use? If you really were behind the company's product, you'd want to show, hey, it's good product.
Yeah, it is a good product. Marlboro is the most recognized trademark in the whole world. It has to be a great product. I wouldn't really mind either go to sell cheese or go to sell cigarettes. Matter of fact is the benefits are the ones that drive my decision.
And the benefits for Marlboro are quite a bit better than for Kraft. I read that.
It depends on what market we're talking about.
Yeah, but mainly for the United States still. I heard that you're paid in multiples of your salary in the upper echelons of Philip Morris for Marlboro, whereas, Kraft, you get a, 5%.
It depends also on the rank you are. I mean, if you're a sales territory manager and you're starting, it's good to start with the Marlboro brand. In Kraft, if you're up the ladder, it would be good to be, with Kraft Foods. Kraft Foods have to sell to every single retail around the world. I mean, every single retail around the world carries a Kraft product.
Now, I've asked you a lot of questions. You have every right to ask me any question.
Question. You say you were a physician, right? So I bet you would help people stop smoking.
Well, I work with a lot of people to stop smoking. I just spoke to an undergraduate class today that are pre-meds, and we talked about the history of smoking. And, I mentioned that I'd probably be coming over here tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Are you suggesting he shouldn't speak tonight? Oh, okay. So I already informed him of that. You seem a little upset with me, and I don't know. I thought I apologized.
Rather that you didn't make the students uncomfortable.
I don't think I am, and I've asked their permission. Right, thank you. But I think he's old enough to understand. He's 21 now, right? I mean, isn't that the whole purpose? Have you checked to see if all the people here are 21 and over? Right. But wouldn't you think that would be a good idea too, to check people who if they're going to market a product? Well, I'm not certain I do. Yeah.
So last question, you were going to say?
Yeah. No, feel free.
Okay, my question to you. What would you spend your time stopping people from smoking if it's their own decision?
Well, because I've seen a lot of patients die from lung cancer and heart disease who had no other risk factors but smoking. In fact, I've even seen flight attendants. You ever go on the airplanes and see the flight attendants? Up until 1990, you couldn't go in a smoke-free aircraft. And I've seen flight attendants die of lung cancer who didn't smoke themselves.
That was way back in
No. Now they're dying. They're dying now. They were exposed. It doesn't happen. You don't smoke today and get lung cancer tomorrow. It takes 20, 30 years.
Well, they can sue the company because that's something that should have been corrected long time ago.
Right. So do you favor lawsuits against the cigarette company if people die from smoking?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
So that's what's fair is fair.
It's fair.
Okay. Thanks a lot. And I'll give you my card if you'd like to, find out more about this thing. And
Just ask one more question.
Sure.
You say it's a choice, an adult can make, and you're right about that. But what about the point when they're addicted and it's no longer a choice because they're addicted? Could you answer that?
No, I'm through.
Okay.
I'm
Now,
just-
see, now the true colors are coming.
And this is why I'm asking you, is
You're
because
saying you did me a big favor by talking with me, and now you want us out.
I would like to be able to focus on the students and them to be able to talk
I'm
to
not
us.
distracting you from focusing on the
But you're
students.
distracting them.
I've asked 2 students what they thought about, and both of them would do you credit. You should hire both of them.
And I'm not saying you're doing a
Right.
bad thing. I'm just concerned that we're trying to focus on them. Like I spent
It's
however much
uncomfortable,
time.
isn't it?
It
wanna
is not uncomfortable.
Then why
If it
why
were
not just
uncomfortable-
ignore us? Then just ignore us, and we'll be just fine. We won't stay very long, okay?
What is this gonna?
I don't know. It's probably just going to be in our archive over at the Center for the Study of Tobacco and Society,
Oh, but it's not gonna be on.
College of Community Health Sciences. And I work a lot on the smoking issue. So I was just curious, you're part of Philip Morris?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How many folks are here? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No. We've
Maybe
got
more than that.
probably closer to 10.
Oh, so there's as many folks from Philip Morris as there are from the students, really. Just about half and half.
It's close.
Right. And I had a great conversation with Tiffany, but could I ask the students what drew you tonight to this particular event?
Just, I guess, advertisement within the university,
Right.
letting us know that they were coming and it was
flyers.
going to be a meet and greet type thing. So we just came to check it out and see kind of what it was all
Good
about.
food, too. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we can always get the med students to come if we serve pizza. But this is fancier than that. But, I just really am trying to get a sense of the awareness of whether you feel that a cigarette company is anything different than any other kind of company.
Yes.
Good. And how is it different?
I would say that there are probably ethical considerations when you decide to take a job with Philip Morris or not. And that's something that's probably a personal decision that you have to make along the way.
Great. Good answer. Would there be, you wouldn't know yet whether you would do that or not, or are you thinking in that way, or is it too early to even say?
Well, I graduate in August, and this is really the first
Congratulations.
opportunity that I've had to kind of get out and see jobs and opportunities within the workforce. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see where it takes me. But
What if they said, well, we have a choice of working in the cheese division or the cigarette division? Which would you like to work in?
probably neither.
Either. Okay. Which would you like to? What's your ideal job then?
Ideal job.
My son works for the Discovery Channel. If you'd like, I could put
Disney
in a good
World.
word.
I really want to work
Really?
with Disney
I mean,
World.
you want to be like in a costume?
No, I want to
Be
do.
Miss America?
I would. Advertising is always very interesting. I lean more towards PR because that's where my experience is in. But I just love Disney World so much and the company.
Right.
And you saw the Super Bowl, I'm sure, with the commercial. I'm going to Disney World. Like, that's me.
Okay, that's fabulous. Well, I appreciate your talking. I'll give you my card just in case so you know this is on the up and up. I have an office over here in Nod Hall.
Okay.
And, I've had a lot of patients who've had smoking-related diseases, so I try to follow the companies and see what they're up to. And how about yourself? What led you to-
Just basically, like she said, advertising from the department, push from the teachers, just trying to get us to come and get a feel for the jobs that are out there so we'll know what we can look forward to.
And do you distinguish this from any other company, or did you roll an eye when you saw a cigarette company doing this, or?
Well, I mean, I was not real jazzed about it, but the more I learn about the company, the more it's like they have a good corporate environment and things like that. There are a lot of other things to consider when you're considering a job, and I think that they can offer a lot of things that other companies can't, but like she said, it is an ethical decision. It's something you have to do personally and things like that.
You're selling Marlboro, but that's okay. That's okay. That's all right. No.
Craft too.
Yeah, well, it's a separate company now. Now it's a separate company.
It's a separate.
Just so you won't, I mean, seriously. Yeah. Well, and I appreciate your letting me talk to you. That's very poised. That says well of you. as being good in public relations or advertising or whatever you choose to do, and I'm completely serious about it. We have the largest archive on the history of tobacco right across the quad in Knott Hall. Yeah. And I produce online exhibitions. We're having an exhibition at the Museum of Health and Medicine on a cartoon history of smoking, editorial cartoons and so forth. You saw the political cartoons this week in Iraq, in the Islamic cartoon. So the political cartoons on smoking over the years have been very sensitive too. So Philip Morris doesn't always like those. But, well, thanks very much, and best of luck to you, really, no matter what you do. Appreciate it. Right. Thank you. Sorry to bother you again. I know you went away from me, but...
That's okay. I don't want to talk. Really.
Okay. You didn't want to talk. Is there any reason you choose not to?
No, I just really don't.
No, okay. They don't want to talk about the product or the company. Okay. I'm Dr. Alan Blum. I am a professor of family medicine at the College of Community Health Sciences, and I have the Center for the Study of Tobacco and Society. You came to the Philip Morris Recruitment Fair this evening. And what's your name again?
My name's Sheila Ayers.
And what school? You're a student at the University of Alabama? In what area?
Yes, I'm in the School of Library and Information Studies, which is part of the College of Communications. And
sounds like they could use a good librarian at Philip Morris, no, to keep track of all their promotions and everything else.
Well, actually, they told me they don't have a library, but that's okay because I've got a degree in law and everybody can use a lawyer.
Wow, yeah, I guess they could use lots of lawyers. What did you get out of tonight's session?
Well, I saw some people who were really enthusiastic about their jobs. They seemed very happy. They seem like they've got good benefits, and they were very enthusiastic about bringing other people into their company. They talked about having a large share of the market because they represent Marlboro cigarettes, and they were talking about bonuses and that type of thing.
So overall, there was quite an upbeat approach to the company. I understand they had about 10 people here. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't count them, but that sounds about right. And they were telling me that they're able to work out of their homes. They don't actually have offices they go to. One woman was telling me that. They give them vans to drive around in, and she works out of her van a lot.
So this would be selling Marlboro cigarettes?
Well, it's going around and helping the people who own the stores know how to promote the product better and know how to do inventory better and that kind of thing.
And the product being?
The tobacco. Yeah.
Did they talk about brand names and things?
Well, they talked about Marlboro and I think Virginia Slims, and I think those were the only two brand names they mentioned.
You personally don't smoke?
No.
But was there any question about the ethics brought up? Did anyone that you overheard raise any questions about the ethics of selling cigarettes?
They said that they, tried not to sell them to underage purchasers, buyers.
Well, that's because it's illegal. I mean, we know that, right?
I'm just telling you what they said.
So if you had to summarize the whole thing, what was your impression of the evening?
They were looking for enthusiastic people to recruit and promoting a way of lifestyle.
To sell cigarettes.
Sell cigarettes, yes.
With the selling cigarettes is sort of tailing off at the very end there.
Yes. Yeah, the emphasis was on the great job. It wasn't on the cigarettes as much as the great job.
Have you had anyone in your family affected by smoking?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it brought it home tonight?
Well, it reminded me of it, but yeah.
I want to thank you very much for taking time. I'll give you my card just so you know this is for real, and feel free to contact me. Okay? Great to see you.
All right. Ms. Ayers, this is